Salve to discipuli. This is the stage 20 lesson on third person personal pronouns. Pronouns, as with these pronouns, as with all pronouns, stand in place of a noun. That is their main purpose. They usually refer to someone or something in the sentence, although they can be referring to someone or something in a previous sentence, so in the larger context of the story. They will always match their antecedent in number and gender, but not necessarily case. This is because they will oftentimes be doing their own thing within their own clause. The functions of the pronouns are exactly the same as the functions of nouns that we've already learned. Okay, so here is an English version of the chart that we are familiar with so that you can see which words you would use to plug in. So in the nominative singular, also known as the subject, we say he, she, or it. When it's possessive, when it's genitive, we would say his, hers, or its. Dative, so as an indirect object, we can say him, her, or it. We can also switch it around and put a to or a for in front of it, and so on and so forth. And then here are the plural versions. So they is the subject, there is possessive, to or for them, and them. And here's the Latin version. Now, this is actually nothing new. We've been seeing these since stage 1, but now you're officially responsible for them. For the most part, this is using the letter E as the base and adding our 1-2 adjective endings. Of course, the nominative singular is a little different, as it often is. And you'll see that the neuter noun rules apply. So the nominative and the accusative are always the same. The nominative and the accusative plural always end in A. So other than the nominative singular being a little odd, the genitive and the dative singulars also being a little odd, it follows our 1-2 endings. We have for the accusative singular masculine, for the accusative singular feminine, and then also you can take your time and study the rest of them. But again, for the most part, our root is the letter E, followed by our 1-2 adjective endings. All right, take a moment to copy down these 4 sentences and do these directions. So make sure you find the pronoun and underline it. And then bracket around prepositional phrases, label the subject, verb, direct object, indirect object, and possessive. Draw an arrow from the pronoun to its antecedent. And then unpause the video and check your answers. All right, so here's the first sentence. I put brackets around in cubiculo because that's our prep phrase. E is our third person personal pronoun. Here's everything labeled. Barbilus is nominative singular, so it's the subject. Jakebot's the verb. And then we have a new sentence. Quintus is the subject. E, this is our dative singular, so it's the indirect object. Venum is accusative singular, so it's our direct object. Dedit is our verb. All right, so E, it could be masculine, it could be feminine, it could be neuter, but it's definitely singular. So then we need to look at the context. We need to figure out what's going on and translate the sentences. And this says Barbilus was lying in the bedroom. Quintus gave him wine. We know we wouldn't translate this as her or it because there is no her or it in this sentence for it to be referring to. Well, I suppose that he could be giving the bedroom wine, but that just doesn't make sense. So E is definitely referring to Barbilus. Glatia maritum vituperabat tota turba eam audiuit. So eam is our third person personal pronoun. It's feminine, it's accusative, it's singular. Let's label everything. So Galatia, nominative singular feminine, it's our subject. Maritum, accusative singular, that's our direct object. Vituperabat, it's our verb. Tota urba, I have marked as the subject. It's up here. Tota is actually an adjective modifying turba, so I have them kind of marked together. And then audiuit is our verb. All right, so eam, it's feminine, it's singular. The only other, well, there are 2 other feminine singulars in the sentence it could be referring to, but the only one that makes sense once you translate them is Galatia over here. All right, so Galatia was cursing or, telling off her husband. The whole crowd heard her. So eam is referring back to Galatia. Puelai suaviter cantabat aristo voces erarum laudavit. Okay, erarum is our third person personal pronoun. Puella is our subject. It's nominative plural. Suaviter is an adverb. Cantabat's the verb. Aristo is the subject of the next sentence. Wocase is a direct object. This es ending here could be nominative or accusative plural, but we already have a definite nominative. Forces this into the other option, which is accusative. And then laudawa, it's our verb. All right, so aarm, what is its antecedent? This is feminine and it's plural. The only other feminine plural that we have in here is the puelli, the girls. So it's referring to the girls. All right, so the girls were singing sweetly. Aristo heard their voices. Ubi petro advenit formio eam ad cubiculum duxit. So I underlined our third person personal pronoun and I bracketed our prep phrase. Here is everything marked. Ubi is an adverb. Oops, my V got deleted there. Petro is our subject. Advenit is the verb. Formio is the subject of a new clause. Eam, accusative singular, so that's definitely our direct object, and duxit is our verb. All right, so this is masculine. It is singular. What other masculine singular do we have here? Well, there's formio and there's petro, but only petro makes sense once you translate it. So when Petro arrived, formio led him to the bedroom. So him, the am is referring to Petro. All right, go ahead and pause the video. Do the same thing with these next 4 sentences. All right, let's look at the first one here. Rufus postquam epistulam accepit eam legit. All right, eam is our third person personal pronoun. Let's go ahead and label everything. Rufus, nominative singular, it's our subject. Accusative singular, this is our direct object. This is our verb. Accusative singular, this is our another direct object. And legit is another verb. All right, so this is feminine and it is singular. What other feminine singular do we have in the sentence? And that would be epistulam. And then we can translate it to make, just confirm that it makes sense. So Rufus, after he accepted the letter, read it. I know that oftentimes with feminines, we would translate it as her, but in English, this would be an it because it's referring to a letter, a thing. All right, Plancus ubi templo apropinquavis de eo garrira quepit. All right, de eo is a prep phrase, and the eo is our third person personal pronoun. Plancus, nominative singular, that's our subject. Ubi is an adverb. Templo is our direct object. It does end in an O. It is dative. However, apropinquavimus is a special verb. So it takes the dative as a direct object. So even though this is dative, mark it as your direct object because that's its function in the sentence. So this is our verb. We don't need to do any further marking for eo here because it's part of a prep phrase. And by putting brackets around it, we have marked it as a prep phrase. Garrira is a complementary infinitive. It's completing the idea of the main verb quepit right here. All right, so what's the antecedent of eo? Eo is singular, and it's could be masculine or neuter. So do we have any masculine neuter singulars in here? Yeah, we do. We have Plancus. We also have Templo. So now we need to translate it, see which one makes sense according to context. So Plancus, when we arrived at the temple, began to talk about it. We could translate it as about him, but who would he be referring to? What's the him he would be referring to in here? There is none. So most likely it's it's the Templo. That's how we figure out that it's referring to Templo and not Plancus, even though both Templo and Plancus are masculine singular. All right. Carmina spectatores delectabant, omnes ea magno cum gaudio audebant. Let's go ahead and mark everything. Carmina, nominative singular, that's our subject. Spectatores, es, could be nominative or accusative plural, but we already have a definite subject, so that forces us into our direct object. Delectabant verb. Omnes, this is a standalone adjective, so it's like all as in everyone, so that's our subject. Ea is our direct object. This is it has to be this is neuter, so not neuter nominative or accusative plural. However, we already have a subject over there. So this is our direct object. Magno cum gaudio is our prep phrase. Audiebant is our verb. All right, so what is its antecedent? What is it referring to? What else is neuter here? neuter plural specifically, and that would be the carmina, the songs. So the songs were very pleasing to the spectators. Everyone was listening or heard them with great joy. So ea is referring to the songs. All right, locum optimum novivus unde, pompum spectare possumus, servus eam servat. All right, no prep phrases in this one, but I have eam underlined as our preposition. And let's go ahead and mark everything. So locum optimum. Optimum is an adjective modifying locum. This is our direct object. In form, never mind. All right, so noemus is our verb. The subject here is we. Because we is not stated separately, I went ahead and did this. The subject equals we, just as kind of a nice reminder. Unda is an adverb. It means from there. Pom-pom is our direct object. Spectar is a complementary infinitive. Possumus is a verb, another main verb. And again, the subject is we. All right, new sentence. Servus is nominative singular, so it's our subject. Eum is a direct object. It's masculine, it's singular, it's accusative, and servat is the verb. So, what is the antecedent of eum? We have to find something that is masculine, that is singular, not necessarily the same case, though if it is, it's just coincidence. And the only other masculine singular in here would be locum. So locum is its antecedent, and this would translate as we know the best place from where we are able to see the parade. The slave saved it, it being the place, of course. All right, so remember, pronouns stand in for nouns. They will have the same number and gender as their antecedents, but not necessarily case. They will have their own case. If they do have the same case, it's merely coincidence. Most forms have the letter E as the root with your standard 1-2 adjective endings. There are just a couple exceptions to that, so make sure you study those. And they refer to someone or something in the sentence or in the greater context. So if I remember correctly, every single one of the 8 examples we went over just now, the antecedent was actually in the previous sentence, and that's pretty common. So I hope this was very helpful to you. Make sure you took good notes because I will be checking this off in class. Waleta.